Happy Monday! We got a little rain this weekend. That was nice, huh? Looks really overcast and cloudy today. We need those days too. Today we are going to do some deep stretches in the hips. I don't plan on doing any downward facing dogs today. Sometimes it's just kind of second nature to me, so I'll apologize ahead of time if I bring you up into down dog. But I'd like to just not do any inversions this morning, just some hip openings, some lunges, a little bit of twisting, just a nice stretchy wake up to our Monday. A couple blocks might be helpful from time to time. I think it's always good to have a few props around. That way they're there if you need them, and if not, you didn't need them. Meet me back on the mat. We'll start in Sukhasana, easy seated pose. Sukha means easy. And let's start with a little breath practice and a hand mudra, hasta mudra. So mudras are ways to hold the body, not necessarily just the hands. Hasta mudras are specific to the hands. Anjali mudra is one we use all the time. This one is yoni mudra. So bring the little finger, the ring finger, middle finger, the backs of them together. And then the tips of your fingers, your index finger and thumb, I think I'll come back up to. So it's like this, and this. And then rest your hands in your lap. And this is to help quiet the mind, kind of an inward contemplative kind of bhavana is mood. So let's take our focus inward as we ride with the breath in and out of the body, remembering that we sense the breath in the lungs and the respiratory tract, but the entire body breathes. Every cell in the body breathes. See if you can find a sense of the breath clear down in the toes, clear down in the fingertips. Let's take 3 more breaths here with Yoni Mudra. One more. And then opening the eyes, release the mudra, meet me in table. I'm going to swing my legs around because I'm clear up here at the top of my little mat complex. And set your table. Start with a good foundation and move through some cat-cow. Your pace. You know how these go. We're waking up. So you can bring more directions to your cat-cow with the spine, a little wagging of the tail, shrug one shoulder. Just move. Take that movement clear up and down the spine from the tailbone. Clear up very top of the cervical spine. And before I forget it, set back on your heels. Take your fingers and put them in your ears. Now hopefully you can still hear me. But if your fingers could touch, reaching across, that's where your cervical spine starts. It starts way up there. So there's some big tendons and muscles that you really can't feel the spinous processes of the neck until you get down to C7, that bump back. There's the very bottom of the cervical spine. Just a little interest. I'm always amazed how high up it starts. You don't think of your neck, or I don't, as starting up that high. All right, back to table. Let's extend the right leg out to the side, roll to the pinky toe edge, and maybe a little shifting forward and back here on your supporting knee, starting to wake up the hips. Notice where the sensation is. Now balance on your left knee, left hand, and take this into a nice twist, nice gentle twist, reaching both directions. Maybe a yawn. Anytime a yawn is good. Especially in the morning, right? Now take the right hand down. You can come down to the shoulder for this thread the needle. I'm gonna stay up and just reach over to my shin and take a nice twist through the shoulders, reaching across. I'm having trouble with vertigo. And if I drop my head too low, sometimes that triggers it. So I'm trying to keep it up a little bit. And breathe. And unwinding. Now reach back for your right knee and bring that foot forward. Take both hands to the inside of the right foot and then heel toe the right foot open. Start to shift forward and back again. Maybe even some circling through the hips. Explore. Maybe find a little direction that you've never really gone in this shape. And then come to stillness. If you feel like coming down a little lower in this modified lizard, do that. And we're going to hold this for about 5 breaths. Whatever you've decided, and maybe you drift a little deeper as you go. Inhale and exhale. Again, the focus is inward. Explore that inner landscape, the physical landscape, the emotional, mental landscape. What's there? Just be the witness. And if the forearms are on the mat, bring the hands back, come back to table. Let's do some circling here. And reverse the direction. And extend the left leg out long. Reach out there. Maybe shift forward and back here, getting a nice inner thigh stretch. Those are adductor muscles. They add the limb, the leg in this case, back towards the midline of the body, back towards neutral. The ones that send the limb away are called abductors. And come to stillness. We'll take that nice twist. This time we're on the right hand, right knee. Reach up. Play here a little bit if you feel like some movement in the arm. Take it. Yawn. And then back down. We'll take the thread the needle. You can bring your shoulder to the mat or stay with me lifted and just reaching for the shin. And breathe. Unwind the hands, reach back for the left knee, bring it forward, but keep both hands on the inside of that foot. You may even have to heel toe the foot open a little bit. Externally rotating the toes a bit helps when you have the leg in this shape because your knee's bending and you want it to go right down the center of the foot. If you turn the foot in, now you don't have that alignment that you need for a good healthy knee. And maybe move here in some circles. If you're curious about your hips and your thighs and your pelvis, and then come to stillness. And blocks can be useful, especially when I'm first coming into these big hip openers. A little propping is nice. So we're going to hold this for 5 breaths. You can bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, but if you want to come back to Yoni Mudra, you can do that. Four more breaths. Feel the stretch. Send the breath there. And then we'll come out of this. If you're using blocks, just keep them up there within reach. Come back to table. Let's come into Anahata Asana. So I'm walking out with my hands. Heart comes down to the mat. You can bring your forehead down, I'm going to turn my head for the microphone. Three more breaths here. Heart is open to the earth. Releasing any staleness and receiving that good dose of yin energy to get us through the day. And then walk the hands back underneath the shoulders, back to table. Now we're going to bring the right foot through in between the hands. Rise up here. Make sure the feet are on railroad tracks. Let's do a little awareness of the shoulders. So bring the arms up. Lift the heart, lift the gaze. Come into goddess arms. And then fold forward, swing the arms back. Inhale up. Goddess, heart lifted, gaze lifted. Exhale. Forward, down, back and up with the arms. Let's do 3 more. Feel the shoulder blades. One more after this for me. I'll fold forward. And bring the left hand down to the mat. Tuck the left toes. Right hand to the right knee. We're going to lift the left leg. Come into a nice twist here. And breathe. Hold this one. You can wiggle that back foot back a little more if you need to, sinking the pelvis down a little lower. 2 more breaths. Now frame the foot. This time let's step back in plank and then lower the knees and then the chest. Let's do 5 rolling baby cobra. Inhale, just a gentle lift of the heart and exhale, fold. 4 more. Two more for me. Press up into table and step the left foot in between the hands. We'll rise up. Swing the arms up by the ears. Roll the little fingers towards each other. Feel that drop the shoulders. Then we'll lean back, lift the heart, lift the gaze, come into goddess arms. And then as you exhale, fold forward, press the arms down and back as high as you can. We'll do 4 more. Here's 1. 2. 3. And last one, 4. Now fold forward, frame the foot with the hands. Tuck the right foot, tuck the toes, lift the knee, and take a nice twist. So now we're on the right wrist, right toes, left arm reaches up. Maybe you sink a little lower with your hips. And if you decide to do that, see if you can reach back through the right leg so this knee stays behind the toes. 3 more breaths. And then frame the foot, step back and plank again. Lower the forearms. And then shift forward, so I'm on the balls of my feet. I'm going to push my shoulders forward, and then my hips come down, and I'll arrive in Sphinx. Push down into the elbows, pull the hands towards you, feel that telescope, the low back, bringing the heart through the gate of the arms. Look down the tip of the nose, somewhere out beyond your mat. So you don't want the head tossed way back, but you also don't want the chin tucked here. So these back bends, these extensions of the spine help wake us up. You can tap the tops of the feet on the mat. And then slide the hands underneath the armpits. Come back to table. Swing the right foot forward. Tuck the toes, and we're going to rise up into a lunge. Bend the back knee. Tuck the pelvis, so tailbone's heavy. And then you decide what you want to do with that back leg. You can leave it bent, or you can work to straighten it a bit. Just see if you can find that sweet spot where you can still maintain the neutrality of the pelvis, where the pelvic bowl is balanced, and working to stretch through the heel. Swing your arms up. Little fingers towards each other. Goddess arms, lift the heart, lift the gaze. Exhale, fold forward, reach back. 4 more of these. Feel the movement. I think I have 2 more or less count. Last one for me. And now I'm going to fold forward, frame the foot, drop that back knee. So we're back in our kneeling lunge. Lift the right foot, come onto the heel, help it out if you need to. Blocks are good under the hands here. I really like the blocks because it helps me lift and lengthen the spine before I fold forward. So I can make sure I've got the alignment in my right leg, heel stuck down. I'm pulling that heel towards me, squeeze the muscles of the thigh to the bone. Then I lift the torso and fold forward at the hip crease. You can take this left hand to the outside of the right foot, kind of like our Janu Shirshasana. Bring a little twist to this forward fold. And breathe. Three more breaths here. So by twisting this a bit, you're getting a nice stretch in the left side of the low back. Now release. You can use the blocks as extensions of your hands. I always like to do that. As you shift forward, coming into a nice deep pelvic stretch. So we're stretching the hamstrings on the right and the hip flexors on the left. And without straining with the blocks under the hands, it gives you a nice lift, and you can really focus on hips here. Focus on sensation, adjust if needed, or deepen if that invitation is there. And breathe. You can take this into a nice twist by shifting the weight over to the left wrist, taking the right hand to the right knee, maybe lifting the left knee off the mat. You can stay here or reach up. Even take the hand behind you, take that half bind. Use the finger wrap to open the heart, open the shoulder. 2 more breaths here. Nice stretches in the hamstrings and in the hip flexors. Now unwind, step it back to plank. If you're using blocks, you can keep them there. Drop the knees, drop the chest. And you can even keep the hands under the blocks. I've got the blocks on the lowest setting, which brings a little more stretch to the upper chest. So inhale, lift. Still baby cobra. Exhale as you fold forward. Feel that nice stretch in the upper chest. Inhale, lift. And exhale. We'll do 2 more after this. Here's number 1. And number 2. Tuck the toes. You can press into table, or if you're feeling that upper body strength, lift into plank. And then drop the knees, coming into table. You can move the blocks out of the way. Step the left foot forward. Gonna tuck the toes of the right foot and lift. Coming up into high crescent lunge. Bend that back knee. Tuck your pelvis. So you're bringing low ribs in the front towards the hips. And the tailbone's heavy. A sense of kind of curving underneath the body. Then from there, see if you can reach through the heel, even a little bit. Swing your arms overhead. Goddess. Little back bend. And then exhale, forward fold, reaching back and up with the arms. Let's do 4 more. Lots of balancing going on in this one. Good stuff. Got 2 more. Nice slow flow. So the slow flow keeps the movement such that you can focus on alignment, but it also really works those stabilizers. Now fold forward. You can take a block under your hand, under the right. Take the left hand to the left knee and twist this. Invitation to bring the hand behind the back, wrap the fingers around your hip, and use that half bind to open the left side of the chest. And breathe. 3 more. And then as you exhale, we're going to drop the back knee. Come to the heel of the left foot. Remember, the blocks can be helpful here. Help that foot out if you need to. And then pay attention to the little details that can deepen this stretch. I've got my heel stuck to the mat. Toes are drawn towards the knee, and then I'm going to pull that heel towards me, creating an isometric contraction, lifting my left kneecap, squeezing the thigh muscles. Feel all the difference all those little things made in that leg. I've got my blocks up a little higher on this side. Inhale, lifting my chest. Exhale, folding forward, taking the right hand to the outside of the shin, outside of the foot, bringing a little twist. Adding a nice stretch to the right low back. And breathe. Two more breaths. And then use the hands to walk it forward. And step that foot back and come into plank. Let's hold our plank. push down into the blocks. Blocks are a nice thing to use in some of these upper body weight-bearing poses. They're a little more forgiving for the wrists, give a little cushion. And when I use blocks, I don't know if you can see, but I've got kind of the thumb part of my hand over the edge. My fingers are still spread wide. You can even bring the heel of your hand off the back edge. That works a little better in down dog though. Let's hold for 3 more breaths. One more. And then lower the knees and come to the belly. Keep the blocks under your hands if you're using them. And bring the forehead down. Feel that nice stretch. You can push down into the blocks without really lifting up to bring the shoulder blades more towards the spine. And this time, let's lift up a little higher in our cobra. So inhale and exhale. Being mindful of the low back, remembering we can roll the thighs out and down and draw the navel back towards the spine. If having the hands on the blocks and coming up higher causes a strain in the back, either don't come up as high or lose the blocks. 2 more. Last one. And then release. Come to crocodile now. You can move the blocks. Separate the legs, left and right edges. Stack your hands. I'm going to keep my head up for the microphone. Bend the knees, and this time circle through the shins. And make sure your pelvis moves with this as much as you can. Releasing the back, and reverse the direction. And then just rest. Let it go. If the knees feel good bent, that's fine. We'll bring the shins back down to the earth. If your forehead is on the back of your hands, slowly roll from ear to ear, like you're shaking your head no, massaging the forehead. And for 5 breaths, let's just let it all go. Release everything. So we've been contracting our muscles and stretching our muscles. Let's just relax our muscles. Kind of a reset. Bringing the focus to the inner landscape again. Physical landscape, the emotional landscape, mental, what's going on. Let the breath soothe that landscape. Let the breath cleanse the landscape. Polish the landscape. And then press into table once again. Swing the legs around and we'll do some seated poses. Hips should be nice and open. Let's come into Dandasana, legs long. Bend the knees a little if you have tight hamstrings. Neutral spine, hands behind you, fingertips pointing towards your feet. Open the chest. Draw the ears over the shoulders. And then push into the mat as you lift up onto your sit bones. Pay attention to your low back. Keep the knees bent if you need to. And you can play here a little bit. You'll feel, if you have tight hamstrings, when you start to feel sensation in the low back. When you're there, just lift the knees a bit. Then reach forward with the arms. And reach for the toes, reach for the shins, wherever your hands land. And pull, again with awareness in the low back. And if the low back doesn't feel like you're tugging on it, you can straighten the legs a little. You can lift and recommit to your fold. And breathe. Paschimottanasana. Take advantage of this opportunity to pull. Send the breath to the back. And then inhale, rising back up. Come up onto the sit bones. We're going to bend the right knee. Bring the sole of the foot up onto the mat, and then rock up on the sit bones like you want to stand up on that right foot. See if you can straighten the left leg, but keep it active by flexing the toes towards the knee. Now wrap your left elbow. Maybe you stay here in your twist, or maybe you swing that right arm way up there and then back down. Bring the heel of the hand real close to your hip. Lengthen on your inhale. And as you exhale, twist and look over the right shoulder. Notice that left leg wants to get a little longer. Let that happen. The right hip wants to pull back a little bit. Let that happen. Keep the thigh tight. Breathe deeply into the belly. Unwind. I'm going to take my right ankle past my left thigh. Lean back again with my hands. Slide the left foot to the mat, coming up into a number 4 seated position. Make sure that left foot is in line with your left hip, and then you can lift up into this and come down and lift up. Paying attention to the wrists. Paying attention to the hips, the knees, everything, I guess, huh? Let's do one more. Now make sure there's plenty of mat behind you. Place your fingers in front of your left shin. Stay in this number 4. See if you can balance a bit. And then roll back. Coming into recline number 4 hip stretch. I'm going to release my shin, but cradling. I'm going to release the left shin, but cradling the right. So I've got my ankle and my knee coming into a reclined pigeon, extending the left leg long and bringing my right shin closer. Now the right knee moves away a bit, so you can reach up and push the knee away. Keep the foot flexed. Come back into your reclined number 4. Place your fingers in front of the left shin. See if you can rock back up. Maybe behind the thigh would be better here. Rock back up. Made it on the first try. Unwind. Dandasana, Paschimottanasana. Fold forward. And now let the mind notice sensation in the body. Left half compared to the right. Maybe even front to back. Just notice what's the same, what's different. And coming up on the sit bones, I'm going to bend my left knee. Bring the sole of the foot to the mat. And then like I want to stand on this foot. Keep the right foot flexed. Sit tall. And maybe you twist. Inhale for a long spine. And exhale, maybe a little more twist. And I like to think of my spine in kind of 3 parts. The low back, is there any more twist left there? Then my rib cage, spine, shoulder blades, then my neck, my gaze. And then unwinding, we'll come into that number 4 position. Keeping the heel in line with the sit bone. And notice the left knee, push it away, but keep the left foot flexed. And then we'll lift the hips and come down. Be mindful of the wrists as you lift the hips. It's easy to shift to the little finger edge of the hand. Don't do that. Keep the most of the weight in the thumb side. One more. Now reach in front of the shin. See if you can balance on the sit bones. Keep your left foot flexed and roll back. Push the left knee away. Cradle your left shin and knee. Extend the right leg long. Recline pigeon pose. Take your left hand and gently press that left knee away as you're drawing the shin and the left ankle closer to your chest, closer to your chin. Keep the foot flexed though to protect the knee. And if this hurts your knee, don't do it. But this sometimes is a more gentle pigeon. This is always an option if we're doing a pigeon the traditional way, up on the hips. And then bring the right thigh back to support the left shin. Fingers behind the right thigh. Rock back up. Balance. And unwind the legs. Let's bring the soles of the feet together. Take the hands behind you once again. Lift the hips. Come forward, Baddha Konasana. Blocks can feel real good underneath the knees if you're tight. And this abduction, external rotation and abduction. Sitting tall, use the shins to help accomplish that. So pull the shins and tip the pelvis forward. Feel the release in the low back. And then from here, perhaps leading with the heart folding forward. Let the weight of your forearms just gently open the thighs. Squeeze the glutes together. Feel that increased external rotation in the hips, and there's oftentimes a little more space. It might be interesting to bring the blocks under the forearms here. Try to keep a neutral spine no matter where you're at, and for some of us, just being up here is an accomplishment. Maybe you're able to fold and hold, and then notice a little more space opens up. Now walk your fingertips back to the mat. Bring your knees together. Roll yourself up into a little ball, a little embryo pose. Breathe up and down the spine. And then roll to the back. Plant your feet on the mat. Bring your arms out in the shape of a T or a gentle W. Let's walk the feet wide, and we'll do a little windshield wipering through the shins. Nice slow movement. And the next time your knees are falling to the right, pause there. And if you want a little more, lift the right foot and place it on the outside of the left knee. You can take that left arm and reach up high by the ear. A little more stretch in the left side body. And if it doesn't feel good to bring the weight of the foot onto the knee, just remove it and keep the feet on the mat. Unwind, and we'll take the second side. And maybe here, lifting the left foot and bringing it to the outside of the right knee. Taking the right arm up by the ear, stretching. You can even reach up for that right wrist and give yourself a little more stretch. So now we're reaching in both directions. The right knee is reaching down and away. The right arm is being gently pulled up and over. Unwind the legs. Bring both knees into the chest. Do some nice slow hip circles. Do a couple in one direction and a couple in the other, and then let's come into a nice happy baby. So we have nice open hips. You decide where to place your hands. I always like to take my hands to the bottoms of my feet from the inside of my foot, from the big toe edge, wrapping my fingers to the little toe edge. That way I can gently press the toes out. A little external rotation in the shins, lining up the knees, and a little better alignment I think, than grabbing the outside of the feet. It just feels better. And then once you're here, you can play a bit. It's a happy baby after all. And coming to stillness, now keep the toes turning outward, reach for your ankles. We'll come into a flying Baddha Konasana. Draw the soles of the feet together, push the forearms into the shins, open the knees. And keep the legs in this shape and float the little toe edge of the feet to the mat. Let the knees open wide. Blocks under the knees can feel nice. Now bring your hands under your head. Stack your hands, rest the back of your head in the palm of the top hand. Now your elbows and your knees are in a similar shape, kind of like a diamond. And breathe into this. Bring softness into the shoulders, softness into the hips. And now preparing for Shavasana, let's try our X shape today. So legs are open a little wider than the left and right edges of the mat. And the arms are out in the shape of an X. And before we settle in, let's reach long through the arms, through the legs, maybe a nice yawn. And then let it all go. Dissolving into stillness. Allowing the mind to drift into the inner landscape of the body, of the heart, the emotions. Just let the mind float around inside, exploring, being curious, delighting in discovering, resting here for a moment or two of stillness. Start to bring some physical movement back into the body, the fingers, toes, wrists, and ankles. And another nice long reach and stretch, maybe another yawn. And draw the knees up into the chest. Roll from elbow to elbow, massage the low back a bit. Maybe even some circling through the knees, remembering that clock face underneath the sacrum. Touch each number of the clock face. And then roll to your side or just rock right up to a seated position. Back where we started from, let's find Yani Mudra again. Nice smile. Even if you're not feeling it, I hope you are after that practice. Just notice that even lifting the corners of the mouth changes the energy in the body. Just that simple little change is a demonstration of how we can use the awareness of our body and our nervous system to change the bhav, the bhavana, the mood. Take 2 more breaths here. If your eyes are closed open, let's reach up for some of that stillness out there. Grab that between your hands and draw it home to the heart. A little refuge of stillness available all day for you today. May you have peaceful thoughts, peaceful words, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful world. Namaste. Wednesday morning, 7 o'clock. Cardio, tone, and strength. Friday again, right here, another yoga class. Have a great week. Thanks again for joining me. Namaste.